Could this possibly be what Maddie told Adam?
Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false. You knew that was false. For anybody who had never heard that before, that question is now planted into them, unqualified representation that Mr. Kohberger stalked one of the witnesses, and that's false. We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122. But we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged.
Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Okay, so I'm doing my big, ginormously long coffee house crime debunk video when it comes to the one they put out for the Idaho4 case. And of course, as I'm going along, I'm finding things that I want to talk about separately that are really important that we still have some sort of discrepancies on, we're not really clear on, but also while we're getting new information. I think I've figured out the timeline that was supposed to be happening for Kaylee when it came to her moving out, moving around, moving to Austin, supposed to be living with a friend, possibly staying. I'm going to go ahead and break down the way that I've sort of come across things as of today to sort of put things all together, but I still have some more questions. From the very, very beginning, Kaylee Goncalves' family came out and did interviews, one main one being with Dateline NBC, where they claimed that Kaylee Goncalves had completely moved out of 1122 King Road. But that's not true. All of her furniture was there, stuff for Murphy was there, her personal belongings were there, all of her clothes were there, or at least a majority of her clothes was there. So many of her things were still in her room at 1122. It did not look like she had moved out whatsoever, and we knew that from before we had these very in-depth pictures that we have now, based off of context clues of other things and photos that we saw from news people being able to get in through the windows and get a couple of snapshots of what the victims' rooms actually looked like. But the documents and the reports and the interviews that have come out have sort of put stuff in line and maybe sort of are giving us some more context clues to the possibilities of what could have happened here. But keep in mind that we really just don't know the truth. We've been given lies, false information, back and forth information, and not just about evidence, but about things that there's no reason to lie about, things directly from family members that should know these things as concrete statements. And that's just not how things have been. Now, again, we were told that she had moved out. We know that's not true now. They were also telling us back then that she was supposed to be moving to Austin, Texas for work purposes. And there was even proof that she was looking online in different roommate groups for that area to try to find someone to live with. But there's contradictions in all of that as well, because listen to this statement from one news source.
According to a New York Times article, Kaylee Goncalves planned to move to Austin after graduation with her close friends. A Facebook post from October in the group Austin Roommates shows her looking for someone to live with.
Now, how are you going to tell me that she's planning on moving there with her close friends, but then also show me that she's looking for people to live with? That doesn't make any freaking sense. Why wouldn't she and these so-say friends just be moving in all together in that area? It would be more likely that that was the scenario than them all looking for separate places with willy-nilly random-ass roommates. That's crazy. And then, of course, we found out that Jordan was the one that she was actually supposed to be living with after graduation, but that even made things a little bit more confusing because she, Kaylee, was graduating early, and we knew that she was supposed to be moving to Austin really soon. Again, she gave dates in her posting for February to June. Well, luckily, Connor was able to get Jordan's interview, and in the interview, she specifically states her and Kaylee was supposed to start living together in June.
So yeah, I spoke this morning with and she was telling me that you were probably like the closest person who spoke with Kaylee often?
Yeah, we were pretty close. I'm currently living in, I graduated from U of I last year, and so I moved back home, but me and Kaylee were planning to move together soon.
So let's take that into consideration with what we've now been told in these interviews from Dylan and Bethany, and from Dylan and Bethany only. And that would be that suddenly Kaylee wasn't going to be moving to Austin, that they had convinced her to stay an additional semester.
Do you know why they broke up?
She was going to move to Texas.
Do you know when she was going to move to Texas?
After the semester. But then apparently she wasn't going to anymore. I don't know.
Do you know what changed your mind?
I think she wanted to stay here with all of us.
Then Dylan tells us the same thing in her interview after Bryan Kohberger's arrest on December 30th, 2022.
There was nothing ever different from what I remember. Like, nothing changed. None of them, like, quit their jobs or anything.
Okay.
The one thing I do remember is Kaylee had talked about moving to Texas. There was a few, I think it was Houston, Texas, Santa Barbara, and there's one other one she talked about. And she'd gone home, I think, for a week or so, and then the snow came, and so she didn't come back, and then she got her new Range Rover with new tires. She came home, and I think we convinced her to stay another semester, but I didn't know for sure if she was fully going to stay another semester or not.
Okay.
That was like the only change, but that was like way before, like, she had already been talking about this.
When she was talking about Texas, explain to me, how was she talking about it?
Like, she just talked about how, I don't remember what friend it was she was going to move with, but just that she was going to sell all of her furniture and get new furniture. I don't know why she exactly wanted to move. I think it's like, I wouldn't want to live in Moscow my whole adult life either. Like, it's a college town. You don't want to, like, live there forever, I guess I would say.
Right.
I think she just wanted to change. But I didn't know why it was Houston, or I think Santa Barbara was one of them. But I don't know why it was those two.
Okay.
But she had just talked about it a few times with me about doing that, and then we had, like, I think we talked to Maddie about, like, trying to convince her to stay, and Maddie had sort of convinced her to stay.
So if Kaylee and Jordan were still set to be moving in together in June, then that sort of would ixnay Austin out of the scenario. And what do we know about the reasoning that we're being told that Kaylee and Jack Decor broke up? Because she was moving off to Austin. Considering the fact that when we finally did get Adam's interview, literally nothing important was said in way of answering this question.
This came public like December 17th, December 18th-ish. And this interview that we're about to listen to was a month prior on, I believe it's November 18th.
What did you say to Adam?
What if it was something that was just as simple as Kaylee had decided not to move to Austin? She was going to stay in the area for one more semester, moving with Jordan in June, and maybe Maddie said that to Adam, and now they knew that Adam was going to end up saying that to Jack Decor, and maybe at the time that all this happened, Jack didn't know that she might be staying. Maybe that was the tone of the entire thing. Maybe that's why she kept trying to call him back to back. But also remember the 17-minute conversation that Jack had with Kaylee that we were never told about. The Goncalveses never told us about, even though they had Kaylee's phone records from the night of the 13th. That was told to us from Olivia, who was digging into all of Kaylee's phone records as much as she possibly could while her husband was driving her and their family over to Idaho after finding out what happened to Kaylee. She dug into all of these things. Now, I don't know if Jack Showalter could confirm that information or what, but he was there for the "what did you tell Adam" statement, and you would think that he would have overheard the conversation and probably would have overheard some of this while he was at the corner club with them, if it was a topic of conversation, if this is the case. Remember, Kaylee was also not just staying single while she was waiting around to move. She was seeing other guys. Nothing serious. From what we're understanding, there was more than one, which is not a big deal. If she was single and just dating around, then who cares? But to be seeing it from the view of Jack Ducour and knowing that she only broke up with you, or at least that's what you're being told, that she only broke up with you because she's about to leave. If you're finding out from an outside source because she hasn't told you yet that she's not leaving, again, I can imagine that being maybe why she was calling him back to back, maybe trying to reconcile the fact that he's having to hear it from a third party and not from her. Maybe it was a very last minute thing. We really don't know all of the details. And again, I'm just guessing based off of the stuff that we do have now. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments. Could this have been what Maddie told Adam? That Kaylee suddenly decided, because her job was remote anyway, to just not move to Austin and just stick around into the area. And she was kind of worried about the way he was going to be hearing it. And that was the whole reason why there's this tone around the whole thing. I don't know, guys. I'm just thinking out loud as I'm going through this major debunk edit, but let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.